All right, guys. So we got to talk about some comments that a Hollywood director made that are very personal to me and, somewhat kind of offensive, right? Kind of offensive. And I'm going to tell you guys why. It's not because I give a damn about the movie that the Hollywood director is making, James Cameron. He is developing Avatar 2, okay, and 3. Two films that are set to follow the commercial box office success. What at the time it was the biggest success ever. The first movie, Avatar, which came out, I believe, in like 2009 or something like that. Again, one of the biggest movies ever. A plot that has been compared to the plot of other movies like, Pocahontas. But to be 100% honest with you guys, I haven't really seen the movie, right? Because I'm not really a movie person. I'm not really into, a lot of these fictional movies. But again, the comments that he's making here, again, I want to talk about because it is a part of the Hollywood agenda, to essentially try to erase masculinity from society. Okay, to tell us that masculinity, being a man or acting like, what we traditionally believe men to act like, is somehow a bad thing. And this stuff being reflected in these Hollywood films and in these movies, in my opinion, is kind of bad for society, right? At the very least, it indicates that the new Avatar movies may be woke, which will give me even more reason not to care about it or to go see it. But hey, it is what it is. This is what they're doing. And I don't want to talk about this statement that James Cameron made because I'm not sure if, this Hollywood director actually understands exactly what he's talking about when he's talking about the hormone testosterone, because he claims that testosterone is a toxin men must terminate from their system. Quote, a lot of things I did earlier I wouldn't do career-wise and just risk that you take as a wild testosterone poison young man. I always think of testosterone as a toxin that you have to slowly work out of your system. Now, again, I am, kind of concerned, right? Because this guy is telling me testosterone is a toxin. And I actually recently went to a hormone doctor to get my testosterone and other hormone levels checked. And I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised with my results, right? Even my doctor said that, hey, he was jealous of my testosterone levels. That's not a flex. That's not a brag. I'm just saying. I'm a little concerned because unlike this Hollywood director, he didn't tell me that I was poisoning myself because my testosterone levels were on the higher end, okay, of the normal spectrum, right? I'm just saying. He didn't say that. So again, I'm surprised, okay, when this guy said this. I'm like, I don't think that's what my doctor told me when we had this conversation about testosterone. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but let's read about what this Hollywood director said. James Cameron, writer and director of films such as The Terminator, Terminator 2, True Lies, Aliens, and Titanic, said that early in his career, he and his work were poisoned by the toxin that is testosterone while promoting his environmental activist agitprop Avatar sequel due out in December. I don't know, man. Terminator, Terminator 2, right? Titanic. Those seems like movies that were probably pretty successful because of the testosterone that Mr. Cameron says here is allegedly toxic. According to the Hollywood Reporter, Cameron said, quote, a lot of things I did earlier I wouldn't do career-wise and just risk that you take as a wild testosterone poison young man. I always think of testosterone as a toxin that you have to slowly work out of your system. Again, this is what took me back, right? My doctor did not tell me that, hey, man, you need to work some of this testosterone out of your system, okay? You got too much floating around. We need to lower your levels. In fact, he actually told me, don't mess with it at all, right? We don't need to mess with your testosterone levels at all. And you need to, again, make sure that they're consistently kind of in the range that they're in, okay? However, there are some downsides to having higher testosterone levels that, again, you wouldn't know if you listen to guys like this, because your body sometimes converts some of that extra testosterone to estrogen. So sometimes men with higher levels of testosterone can actually convert that testosterone to estrogen, and they'll have higher estrogen levels as well too, right? But again, you never hear anything about estrogen being toxic, even though I'm pretty sure that, women can be just as toxic as men, right? But again, we never hear anything about the toxicity of having too much estrogen, okay? Anybody ever been in a room with a whole lot of estrogen flowing knows that it can get pretty crazy. In fact, I'll never forget this one experience I had in high school that literally scarred me for the rest of my life. I was in the car with three female friends or girls, right? They were all of them, I believe, were either on their period or approaching their period, right? All at the same time. Okay, all at the same time. And they were all super, super moody, like extremely moody. Okay. And also, it smelled really, really bad, right? That is what actually scarred me for life. Okay. I'm just saying, for as much as we talk about testosterone being toxic, we don't talk about estrogen and how the peaks and valleys in regards to estrogen going up and down and how that affects women and their mood and their emotions. Because again, that's literally what it is. Okay. It's the hormone estrogen fluctuating so much during a woman's cycle. That is what causes them to be so moody, right? And to behave in the ways that they do. Ways that I would define as toxic, either on their period or approaching their period. Again, it's super chaotic to deal with, okay? Again, and then you have a whole bunch of them at one time that tend to, their cycles all line up, right? Because they're friends, and that tends to happen. I'm not sure if that's a myth or what, but from my experience, it seems to happen quite a bit. It's like, again, it's I would define that as a toxic environment to be in, right? PMSing, right? That is a toxic thing, right? I'm just saying, just my opinion on it, right? Just my opinion. In the early 80s, James Cameron was set to pitch an idea for the sequel to the movie Alien. He walked into a room filled with executives at 20th Century Fox when they asked the young director, whose film The Terminator was an unexpected success, what his pitch was for an Alien sequel. Cameron reportedly walked up to a chalkboard in the room. He wrote the word alien and then added an S at the end. He paused and then drew lines in the S, making it a $sign. Cameron confirmed the veracity of the story with Cineblend in 2021. According to Crack, a young Cameron broke into the editing room of his directorial debut, Piranha 2, to recut the movie after the film's producer had removed him from the project. On the other hand, he did say of his alien female heroine in Avatar, quote, right from the beginning, I said she's got to have tits, according to Inverse. I believe that's what it says. His tentpole features often have bombastic practical effects and huge budgets, which he would fight for in F-bomb laden shouting matches with executives, according to The Hollywood Reporter. That same masculine energy carried over to sets, causing Ed Harris to punch Cameron in the face on the set of The Abyss, according to IMDb. Wow. Sounds like some of that masculine energy actually contributed to the success of some of his prior films. Okay, it wasn't necessarily a hindrance. And sometimes it's productive for men to fight things out, right? To get in the shouting match, to occasionally go blow for blow, right? In this case, like actually really go blow for blow. Because, a lot of times that's how you kind of work things out. You get an understanding of each other, and that's how you create, great projects and, move forward. And with anything in life, right, whether you're talking about, being in a boardroom meeting of a major company or, maybe being the president of the United States, military, whatever, having these types of, aggressive shouting matches, sometimes that's not necessarily a bad thing. Again, it can be a good thing because it's better to get it out, to put everything on the table, to go at each other and, to deal with it. And then you move forward from there. Everybody's on the same page, In fact, I would say that's probably an issue with a lot of, young people today, maybe young men today, who don't necessarily have an outlet to express, more of their aggression. Okay. Like for example, when I grew up, I played football, right? I was playing football all the time. When I wasn't playing little league, actually, helmet pads, whatever, I was in the backyard, in the neighborhood or whatever, playing football with the other kids, right? We were always doing something aggressive, right? We were tackling. It won't no two-hand touch. It was tackling. Playing on the trampoline, doing wrestling stuff, right? Copying WWE, right? We were always, hitting each other, doing something crazy, right? That boys should do in order to kind of get a lot of that stuff out. But society's saying that that's a bad thing, right? And I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's actually really a good thing. It's natural. And I think it's something that should be embraced and not necessarily, condemned like a lot of society is trying to do. Cameron also said, I made Titanic because I wanted to dive into the shipwreck, not because I particularly wanted to make the movie. Cameron's new movie is a continuation of his Avatar series, the first entry having hit theaters back in 2009. His interest in filmmaking now rests in his passion for environmental sustainability. On Avatar, Cameron has said Avatar is the highest grossing film, and it's a movie that's asking you to cry for a tree. Yeah. So, again, probably an indication that this new movie is going to be pretty woke, right? So yeah, with that being said, testosterone, right? Just so we can get the facts here, okay? It's not a poison. It's simply a sex hormone for males that plays a role in the development of, the genitals, deepening the voice during puberty, the appearance of facial hair, after puberty and stuff like that, muscle size and strength, bone growth and strength, libido, sperm production. Yes, there are downsides to having too much testosterone, okay? But again, that's not what Hollywood is talking about. What they're talking about is just being masculine in general, right? They don't really like that. They don't like that. They call masculinity toxic, which is funny because you never hear that about estrogen. But in my opinion, I think having too much estrogen can be just as toxic, if not more toxic than having too much testosterone. But hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.